Today's webinar will address career readiness competencies influenced by your internship. I am your facilitator today and will discuss evidence-based strategies that discuss career readiness competencies and what employers are looking for in their full-time hires. This is a piggyback off of leading with your strengths, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. My name again is Nikki Bailey. I'm the internship program manager here, and I oversee the New Jersey Career Accelerator Internship Grant Program. With me today, I have Samantha Lopez, who is a graduate fellow for the New Jersey Office of the Secretary of Higher Education. She recently graduated from Keene with a master's in industrial organizational psychology. So Sam, why don't you say hello to everyone?
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope that this presentation can be very helpful for all of you, that you're able to learn something new and hopefully apply these new skills to your not only internship, but also to your future careers, because I know they will be very helpful. I hope you enjoy.
Thanks, Sam. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat as we progress through the presentation. We are expecting a special guest today. I forgot to mention at the beginning. Her name is Samantha Ross. I'm just seeing if she's in the chat, and she is. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself, and she can talk about why she's here today.
Hi, thank you so much, Nikki. Again, my name is Samantha Ross. I am coming to you from LinkedIn. I am a representative from LinkedIn that covers the state of New Jersey and have partnered with Nikki to set up this program for all the interns here. So I just wanted to say congratulations on spending this summer really investing in yourself. It's really exciting. And Nikki was able to get approved LinkedIn learning licenses for every intern in this program. So just wanted to really kind of put a real plug and a little like, hey, let's activate our licenses for LinkedIn Learning. If you haven't been familiar with LinkedIn Learning, we are an online learning platform formerly called lynda.com, and LinkedIn purchased lynda.com about 5 years ago. So we have professional development training courses covering both, creative content. We have a huge technical content library, and then we call like business or soft skills content library. So a lot that would apply to you where you're at now in your career and where you might be headed. So this will be a great complement to the training that Nikki's providing, and maybe the training that's going on with your employers that you're interning at. But you have access to the full content library. I know Nikki will be inviting you or recommending you to take certain courses, but you have full reign of any of the content that's provided for LinkedIn Learning. And this license will be active through June, I think like 29th. So you'll have access for quite a while. That being said, you did receive an invite to LinkedIn Learning to the email that you provided the program. That invite came out about July 8th. So if you haven't activated, I would highly suggest you take the time to do that today. That link will expire after 30 days. So we want to make sure that you get that activated and start your LinkedIn Learning journey, so to say. Okay, perfect. If you haven't received the link, any comments here, Nikki can take a note and send you the invite link. So no problem there. Once you get activated, you can set up your profile. And I would suggest, if you do have a current LinkedIn profile, go ahead and choose the option to link that profile. The benefits of connecting your personal LinkedIn profile with LinkedIn Learning is anytime that you complete a course, you can basically get credit on your LinkedIn profile and get a badge that says you've completed that training, and add connected skills to that training to your profile. So really fleshing that out. So secondary to just having those badges on your profile, LinkedIn Learning will be able to like provide you more specific and curated courses based on your current job title, based on the skills that are on your profile, based on what other people are taking with similar job titles. When you enter LinkedIn Learning, it's kind of like Netflix or Hulu, where it's going to show you what are the top courses for your title, what are the top courses in the United States, you know, and then as you interact with LinkedIn Learning over time, it's going to get more information from you and keep pushing you more curated content. Of course, you can search and take any coursework on LinkedIn Learning. So it's up to you how you approach with what you're going to take. I did drop a link in the chat earlier, kind of a little YouTube video, just kind of like promoting kind of the vibe of LinkedIn Learning and kind of where you can take it. I am available if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would say any questions for the program, filter through Nikki, but I'm going to be a resource to Nikki and Samantha for any technical issues that might come up. But we want to make sure that you get the most out of the learning licenses for the time you have it. And I'm excited to see how you guys progress. We have the ability to see what skills are gained and what are the most popular courses, and people are already in there taking content already. So I want to give a good big round of applause for anyone who's already activated and already taking those courses. So that's my little spiel. You can check out that LinkedIn Learning video. Excited for you. My name's Samantha Ross. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. And I'll give it back to Nikki.
Thank you so much for joining us, Samantha. And just to reiterate what you said, and I popped that YouTube link back into the chat, so it's the most recent thing that popped up. This is added value as you being a part of the Career Accelerator Internship Grant Program, right? So for instance, as Samantha mentioned, when I logged into the LinkedIn Learning, it had everything that was relevant to me and my previous experiences as it is in my LinkedIn profile, right? So I had a lot of project management courses, managerial courses, and things like that popped up for me to help me build those skills and things like that. So again, value added. If there are conversations that you're having with your supervisors during your one-on-ones and things, and they're telling you that there's a certain particular skill that they'd like you to work on, chances are that content's in the LinkedIn Learning library. So we want you to use it. So first things first, activate your account. Again, Samantha mentioned this, but I sent an invitation to the email that was provided to me by your employer. Some employers did not provide emails to me. So if I said it in the chat and I'll say it again, if you have not received a link and it might have went to spam or junk, send me an email so that we can either resend your link or add you to the list. Samantha and I are managing that, and we're happy to do that. We want you to activate, we want you to use it, and you have access to this. At this point, if you remain an intern in the program for the 10 weeks of the program, you have access to this through December. So use it. It's a great source, and those certificates and skills that you're going to be able to add to your LinkedIn profile are really valuable when you do your job search. So thanks again, Samantha. Appreciate it.
And we'll provide another reminder at the end of the presentation, just because I know there's some people coming in, so that everyone is aware of LinkedIn Learning.
Thank you. Okay. So today, the majority of our conversation is going to focus on career readiness. What is career readiness? It's a foundation from which to demonstrate core competencies that prepare college-educated for success in the workplace and for lifelong career management. So these career readiness competencies were developed by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, which matches both employers and institutions and discusses everything that has to do with career and professional development. And through this task force, the Career Readiness Task Force that happened quite a few years back, they came up with 8 career readiness competencies, each of which can be demonstrated in a variety of ways. And those competencies are the ones that we feel help, and kind of back in the day, they used to call it a skills gap. So there was a lot of research done through NACE, through employers, that said college graduates did not have certain skill sets when they went into their first 90 days of a professional position. So because of that research, they started looking into that skills gap, right? And they came up with these career readiness competencies. The good thing about this is that these competencies are the transferable skills we talked about during our last session as well. And you're not only honing in on these skills through an internship, you're honing in on them through coursework, through presentations in your classrooms, through extracurricular activities, through volunteering, through work in your community, through research. So all of the touch points and let's call it extra things that you're doing on or off campus, and then additionally the things that you're doing in the classroom that you might not necessarily recognize as honing some of these skills are ways to develop these competencies. And these are the competencies that employers are looking for when they're looking for these full-time hires. So it's important just to think about those as you work through your internship and as you return back to campus in the fall and start engaging on campus. Think about these skill sets and how you can be talking about them during interviews for your next internship or full-time interview. The first one is career and self-development. Pretty straightforward, but thinking about, and again, you're going to be at different stages throughout your career and self-development, but it really is the process of learning and making use of the skills to progress towards your long-term personal and professional goals. So we talked last time about self-assessment and really honing in on and recognizing your strengths, and also honing in on and recognizing weaknesses or skills that you need to further develop. And that is all part of career and self-development. You're really proactively seeking out opportunities through personal and professional learning. For instance, LinkedIn Learning, and utilizing their content library to build those skills that you are getting told you might need to work on and or you might have an interest in. So you want to just proactively develop those, as opposed to somebody telling you later on down the line that that's something that you really need to work on and you should consider tapping into resources for that. Career and self-development helps you adapt to new changes in the workplace. Always and forever, changes occur all the time. It helps you to contribute more efficiently to your role. It really helps you to assess where you're at, what you can contribute to the team, to the organization, and advance in your career and personal life. So ways to accomplish career and self-development, specifically thinking about your internship and your role at your internship right now. Being competent, but also confident about your strengths and showcasing your strengths. If you feel like there's a strength that you have that hasn't been utilized yet in your internship, is there a way to connect with your supervisor and figure out if there is an initiative or a project that you could lend your skill set to? Also being cognizant of your weaknesses. Again, if you're cognizant of your weaknesses in an internship or your first professional role, and you seek out opportunities and resources on your own to help build those skill sets, your supervisor is going to be impressed with your initiative and really understand that you are very aware of your abilities and where you might be lacking, and you're taking that initiative to seek out resources to help you develop those skills. Always asking for constructive feedback and reflecting upon your skills and which need to be prioritized. So thinking about the way that you're engaging with your supervisors, and I'm hoping you're doing this at least bi-weekly, if not more than that, right? But you should be asking for constructive feedback if they're not providing that to you. What can I do better? Are there things that I've missed when I work through this project? How would you have done it? Would you have done it differently? Those are all ways to get constructive feedback about the process to help you learn and grow as professionals. You really should be seeking out opportunities to learn these and find these resources to expand your knowledge. Again, LinkedIn Learning is there for you now so that you can seek this out. But there are a number of other ways to build skill sets and things like that. And some of your employers might even have access to tools and skills that could help yourself build those skill sets, especially technology skills, I would say. When in doubt too, Google. There's so much content on YouTube, even when you're talking about technical skills or learning things in Excel or learning things in a platform that when you are an intern and you do not know how to do something, sometimes the best thing to do is to Google it and figure out if there's content online or through LinkedIn Learning that could help you so that you can go back to your supervisor and say, I sought this out on my own. This is what I found. Does this sound right to you? I'm going to use this resource to help me tackle this project. You really should be, during career and self-development, building and extending your network. And that also helps you to navigate for potential career opportunities. I'm sure you've heard about burned bridges, but consider your professional network a bridge of opportunities for you for your future career. Talking through personal development skills in the workplace. As an intern, you need to work through challenges. So oftentimes, feedback that I've heard over the years in my former career from employers was, and even working with students, roadblocks often stop people in their tracks. So if you're working through challenges on your own and seeking out other options on how to learn, grow, build, or figure out the problem, that's really impressive to a supervisor, a potential employer. Hopefully you are passionate about your job or your role and it is matching with what you're learning in school, but that helps to motivate people more often. You should also be an active listener, being attentive to others, constantly picking up and learning about what is happening in the organization that you're interning for. All those things are likely interconnected. So it can help inform you, it can help inform a project, it can help inform a task. So just being an active listener during the meetings that even don't seem relevant to your role, they definitely are. Dependent upon your year in school, if this is your first internship or your third internship, you could also help to guide those around you. Some of you have had professional experiences before and others not as much. So if you are one that has had a number of professional experiences and you can help somebody else and guide them, be a positive leader and help others grow as you grow in your professionalism. And then also believe in yourself, being confident of your decision making and showcasing your abilities whenever you can at your internship site. I'm going to pass it over to Sam now.
Hi, everyone. I just want to mention in advance that if you hear me coughing, I apologize. I was recently sick, so I still have some remaining coughing. But now we go to effective communication. So communication skills are very, very important, whether it be oral or written communication. And no matter the industry that you want to apply for and the jobs that you want to apply for, you most likely are going to find communication skills as one of the required skills or preferred skills. So the goal is to ensure that people comprehend with clarity the meaning or the purpose behind your message, or opinion or idea or thought or perspective. So not necessarily because you're communicating something to someone does it mean that that person is interpreting it the way that you're trying to give meaning to. And also they might interpret it wrong or they might not understand what you're trying to say. And that can really be more of an issue when you're trying to communicate to a variety of people. So it's very important to work on how you are projecting yourself through others through your message. So effective communication can boost satisfaction, motivation, and engagement between employees. When you're able to communicate properly with others, you will see that will help you work better with them. You might be able to get your tasks done easier and more effectively. And you might also create better networking bonds between each other, whether it be your fellow interns or when you apply for a full-time job, you'll see how that can be really helpful when you're connecting with employees, because they can be in the future someone that can reference you to another job. Next, please. Okay, you're never not communicating. So you don't necessarily have to speak to really be communicating. So for example, that's why we have verbal communication and we have your nonverbal communication. Your verbal communication can be the quality of your words, how much you're able to express yourself through the vocabulary that you have. You also have your tone and volume of voice. So how you speak to others, how others may feel or hear that you're speaking, whether it be sincere, whether it be hard, whether it be um, just, your normal tone where you're not aggravated or you're not super excited and stuff like that. And also the volume of your voice, whether you're really speaking too soft or you're able to project yourself to a lot of people. And then you also have the clarity of your speech, which is again, how clear you're able to present your message so that people interpret it the way that you want them to interpret it. And then you have your nonverbal communication where you're not speaking, but you're still communicating something through, for example, your body language, how you project yourself to others, not speaking, but just how you present yourself, whether it be having your arms crossed and seeming not interested, or whether you're really paying attention to the person communicating. Then you also have your eye contact, which can also give away whether you're really paying attention to them or you're not really interested in what they have to say or you're focused on something else. Then you have your gestures and your facial expressions that give out a lot without necessarily saying something. So you can, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you can really tell through their facial expressions whether they're really there with you when they're speaking or whether they're really just on another planet in that moment. So that's why it's very important that even if you're not saying something, people might be assuming that you're thinking something or that you're somewhere else, or that even if you're not giving out a specific opinion, they might think that you are still thinking something. So that's why you're always communicating even when you are not. So it's important that when you're communicating with someone or when you're communicating yourself to a bunch of people, let's say to like an audience, or in this case when we're presenting, that you really focus not only when you're speaking, but also presenting yourself through your body language, your facial expressions, gestures, and stuff like that. Next, please.
So before I move on, I'm just going to interject a little bit of real world, where this works in the real world, as I used to coach a lot of people for their interviewing, and it goes hand in hand, right? So quality of words, tone and volume, all that's good. The nonverbals are so important when presenting, when speaking to a supervisor, in an interviewing process. Some things as simple as when I used to coach people for interviewing, if you're in an interview and you're crossing your arms, or you seem, because you're nervous, or it makes, that's like your comfort zone, it makes you feel closed off to the person. Or if you're open, engaged, leaning forward when you're speaking to people, engaging in that way, it just means you're present with them, and that means something, especially to coworkers, colleagues, and or if you are interviewing with an employer. Additionally, eye contact. I'm just going to flag this one too, especially when we're over Zoom a lot more often, or Teams a lot more often than not, to train yourself to look at the camera instead of looking at yourself. Additionally, thinking through. So a little self anecdote and something I continually work on. Going through a master's program as a counselor, when I was back in the day, when I was in graduate school, we used to have to videotape ourselves doing counseling, which, we all hated. But when we reviewed and watched that over with the class, the feedback was instrumental in how I counseled people from then on out, right? So an example was that when I was thinking of the next thing to ask a client, I would kind of look up and over, which appeared to the people who were viewing the video that I was kind of rolling my eyes. And you can see how that might go over in a counseling session. Not good, right? So I had to train myself to monitor my facial expressions when talking to people. And that same thing goes when you're working with people in the workplace and or over Zoom and things like that. And you can see the hands thing, I'm Italian, I still do it, but that's something I have significantly toned down since videotaping my counseling session. So just those nonverbal communication skills are really essential. Um, take feedback if you get it from a supervisor, from a client, from anyone, and just know that it's constructive feedback. All right, Sam, I'm gonna go to the next for you.
Okay, can we go? Okay, great. So now we have your active listening. So this is very crucial as well. And sometimes people might misunderstand hearing from listening. So not because you're hearing something doesn't mean that you're understanding what the person is trying to say. So this is really important, especially in the workplace, where you need to be paying attention to what it's being said to you so that you understand what you have to do. Or in case what you might need to improve in and stuff like that. So active listening is making sure that the speaker feels heard by showcasing your attentiveness to their messages. So again, this can, a lot of the times is done by your body language, your eye contact, gestures, and facial expressions that we were mentioning with the nonverbal communication. So this is very crucial that when people are communicating, it's good to not necessarily interrupt, but to input your opinion or your perspective if it's providing something valuable to the conversation. But if you're interrupting to not really provide anything or just for the sake of interrupting, then that, of course, might seem rude. And of course, nobody likes to be interrupted if there's not a valuable reason to do so. So sometimes it's better to hear than to speak. And that's why there's the saying that goes that we have 2 ears and one mouth because we're supposed to listen more than we are to speak. So listening is a crucial communication skill that will always be useful in the industry and business setting, especially when you're surrounded by multiple people where everyone's putting their input. It's necessary not only to be paying attention, but because by paying attention, you also might be able to gather new knowledge, new information that you didn't know before, and that will help you, for example, in completing your task or in any future employment that you might have. And also when dealing with other people from other jobs. So ways to accomplish active listening can be through, again, maintaining eye contact, which is so very important so that people really know that you're paying attention, to avoid any distractions that might interrupt your attention on what the message is that the speaker is trying to give you. Also convey attentiveness. This can also be done again by your nonverbal communication, whether it be, I don't know, really like nodding or saying like very few words like, oh yeah, that's really showing that you're paying attention to what they're saying. And again, be aware of your body language, which is very, very, very important. And um, once you start learning how to actively listen to people, you're still feeling that you don't really need to speak too much because listening is already enough. And you can really learn a lot through just listening to people. And you'll find that hopefully through the time of your internship this summer. Next, please. Okay, so obstacles to effective communication. You have noise, which is disruptive background noises as well as physical disruptions. Even if you might not be aware of it, just the fact that you might for a second turn around to look at something that's going on, you already are losing focus on what the person is trying to say, and you might already start to misinterpret the message that they're trying to give you, or there may be a block there, so you might have them repeat again, which is something that we don't really want. Then we also have your preconceived notions, which are pre-existing beliefs and biases that can create a barrier. So for example, if someone's providing their opinion or their point of view on a specific issue or matter, you might not know it, or you might be aware of it, that you might have some unconscious biases that will alter your interpretation of what the person is trying to say. And something that we really need to keep in mind is that you have to focus on what the person is saying and not focus on what you think they're saying, because there are two different things. So you really have to pay attention to what they're saying and really try to get their message as they're saying it and not as you want to think that they're saying it. And that goes with the preconceived notions. Then you have your cultural differences. When you have diverse backgrounds, that can lead to diverse interpretations of the same message. So everyone's experiences through their cultural backgrounds, whether it be, let's say, like where they come from, their religion, and their sexuality and all this other stuff, that can lead them to have different perspectives on the same issue than you have. And that can lead to them interpreting the message that you're trying to give them incorrectly or in a different way. So it's always important to also pay attention to that and make sure that you ask them if they really understood what you were trying to say, or for you to ask them or to clarify with them if you understood correctly the message that they were trying to provide you with. Then you also have your emotional state, which is also very important. When you feel intense emotions about a certain topic or issue, that can really block you into really listening to what the person is trying to tell you. Or again, it will lead you to different interpretations of the message. So it's very important that you keep a neutral and rational emotional state so that whatever someone's telling you, you're able to grab the message and not confuse it in your consciousness and think that it's something different. So this is really important that when you're feeling really intense emotions, that you try not to speak, because sometimes we try to or we give a different message that we intend to when, for example, you're just neutral and have no specific emotions for specific topics. So that's also very important. Next, please.
So here, just want to put out a thought-provoking question for you all right now. This is for self-reflection, and we're not going to take too much time on it, but just think about your communication skills. Do you believe you have good communication skills? Are people often confused by what you're saying? Do people misinterpret what you're saying? Are you clear and concise in emails, talking about written communication and things of that nature? Or do people come back with lots of questions when you write to them? Just something for you to think about. And if you think, oh, I could probably work on that. Again, there's a ton of content in LinkedIn Learning. But we'll touch on why communication skills are so important towards the end. But I just want you to really think and do some reflection on your communication skills. But don't take too long because we're moving on. The next career readiness skill is critical thinking. And I do want to be cognizant of time, Sam, because we're at 2:37. So I might go through these quickly. But again, at the end, we'll answer any questions you might have. Critical thinking is the process of skillfully analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating information or data gathered from different sources objectively. So some ways to showcase your critical thinking skills would be to make sound decisions and solve problems that arise when you are assigned a task. Do you get a task and sit through and kind of map out what the steps are? Do you ask your supervisor, how do I do this? Or do you take the initiative to sit and say, I think I need to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe I should say X, Y, and Z and ask my supervisor, is there anything missing? Is there anything that you would do in between those steps that would help me? And those are ways to show your critical thinking skills. Being proactive, but also being open-minded and understanding that you won't oftentimes have the full scope of why a project exists. So asking questions, not what should I do next, but to help you better understand the purpose of a project, the purpose of a task, and things of that nature are really important. And then being able to accurately summarize and interpret data. Again, LinkedIn Learning can help you with that if you have trouble figuring out what should be relevant to pass along to people. And that is also what your supervisor is for. So if you're assigned a project and you need to summarize and interpret data, I always say, and I've done this with Sam too through some of her projects, she'll say, is this what you were asking for? And I say, yeah, all of that, but maybe we could leave this off. And that is what your supervisor is for. So being able to summarize things and interpret what you're doing, the task that you're completing, what you're being asked, but also being able to lean in and be open-minded about constructive feedback about what might be relevant to the ending of the project. Ways to build your critical thinking skills, building them, analytical thinking, analytical meaning allowing you to get rid of biases, collecting and analyzing data to reach the best conclusion, problem solving. This could be individual or in a team, determining the cause of different problems or roadblocks and things of that nature, and trying to brainstorm or implement best solutions. Again, tapping into your supervisor for not the solution, but which one would you say is the best solution? Interpreting, deciding which information is important and relevant for varying situations. Same thing that I just talked about with working with Sam and coming up with a joint collaboration into what the end product should be like. And then observation, being open to different points of view and observant and attentive to potential problems and issues that might arise down the road. Okay, this is what we're presenting. What could go wrong? What roadblocks might we encounter? It's good to just think through those things, not let them hinder you through your progress, but just be cognizant of them in case these issues arise. Implementing critical thinking, promoting a teamwork approach when problem solving is needed. You can ask Sam, I'm always tapping into others and saying, what am I missing? Because we're only human. And of course, you're not going to think of everything all the time, right? Some of us have off days sometimes. Some of us just like to work like that and collaborate. Self-evaluating the contributions you make in relation to the goals of the company, making sure you're using your time wisely, making informed decisions, and practicing self-reflection. And I'm hoping you're doing this before and during your meetings with your supervisors, and applying criteria in different settings and being open to change position if reason leads you to. So meaning you might be set in one way, but your supervisor might say, we have to do it this way for XYZ. And you just need to be adaptable and or flexible in that regard. And to help you understand why the change might have to happen. Critical thinking.
Hey, so now we have your equity and inclusion as well as diversity. Basically, this is exhibiting attitudes, awareness, and knowledge to equitably connect and engage with individuals from different backgrounds and cultures, and working together towards changing the systems and policies that include racism or inequality. So whichever web page that you go for any company, you will always find a section that has the DEI, which is the equity and inclusion. And you might be able to find their policies or how they work around DEI. However, unfortunately, there are still a lot of companies that do not know how to apply this in their workplace, and that can lead to a lot of inequality in many different matters, whether it be racism, inequality of genders, and stuff like that. It's very important that we are aware of their DEI policies before you plan on applying to a job. Or for example, if you're interviewing and you're in the section where they ask you to ask them questions, they can also ask them about their DEI policies or how they work around it in their workplace or how they implement it in their workplace and with their employees. So ways to demonstrate DEI is treating everyone with respect and dignity. You should never not respect someone or think less of them because they come from a specific ethnicity, cultural background, religion, and stuff like that. really put yourself in a position where you're able to get to know the person for who they are and not for the layers that make them who they are. Also providing equal opportunities for growth and advancement. This can be really hard, but if everyone works together to find a way to really provide everyone with the opportunities that might work for them, you might be able to find that your work environment will be way much better. Also valuing everyone's contributions, no matter how big or small they are, everyone's contributions will help in one way or another. So it's also always important that you point them out, and that you keep track of them and that you celebrate them. And also be aware of unconscious biases and adapt to diverse environments. Unconscious biases is really important because even when we think, oh no, I don't think I have a specific bias or a stigma towards something, you really might have some. So when you're dealing with people that are different from you, really pay attention to whether you feel like you really are treating them as you should treat them, or if maybe there may be some unconscious bias that is leading you to have a certain perspective about them, not because of who they are as an individual, but because the layers that make them up. Again, the cultural background, their ethnicity, their religion, their sexuality, and stuff like that. So it's very important to be aware of that. Next. Okay, you have your leadership. We talked a little bit about this when we had our presentation for leading with your strengths. There's basically the ability to positively influence and guide others, as well as working in to achieve a common goal. So this is very important. Not Leadership can either be positive or negative. So we always want to strive to not be a negative leader. So you might see that through some bad managers and supervisors. So it's very important that you take note of what they do or how they act, so that if at some point in the future you're in a position where you have to be a leader or manage and supervise others, that you're not repeating their mistakes and that you're really able to provide something valuable to them as a providing something valuable to you, and that you can work in unison way better. So some essential qualities of a leader include being self-aware. This is very important. Having vision, having integrity, being resilient, having empathy, which is very important because you're leading a lot of different people that have different perspectives, different opinions, different backgrounds. And so it's really important that you're able to communicate with everyone based not on what you think you should treat everyone as, but you should treat them individually, because everyone, let's say, has different needs or understands things in different approaches than other people might need. So it's always important that you know how to approach each individual person, how you interact with them. That can also lead to having better teamwork. And then you also have decisiveness and trustworthiness. This is very important as well on a leader. So you can always go on Google and find other essential qualities that might be important on a leader, or you might also rely yourself on a mentor that already has leadership experience, because you don't necessarily need to learn through your own experiences. You can also learn by listening to other people's experiences. Next, please.
So professionalism, and I think we talked a little bit, maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot about this during leading with your strengths as well. Professionalism is not the job you do, it's how you do the job, right? So professional demeanor, how you're communicating and things like that through your internship experience is really important. Again, these are bridges that you're making for your future career, right? So you don't know if your supervisor could be the referral for not your next job, but your next job. So you want to always maintain that professional demeanor. It involves achieving high standards and maintaining proper work etiquette, conducting yourself with responsibility, accountability. Accountability is a huge one. If you make a mistake, own it. Mistakes happen. We're only human. So make sure you're being accountable for the work that you're putting out. It's good to be yourself, but it's also important to make sure that you are fitting in with the policies of your workplace as well. There's a time and place for everything, right? So some things don't belong in the workplace. you'll get that as you progress through your career. You'll understand that more and more with every different opportunity that you're at. And again, that's something to think about too, because you want to like what you do, and you want to like the people that you work with, because sometimes it makes it hard. That makes working harder. You want to be yourself to an extent, I'll put it that way. Just keeping everything very professional. Qualities of professionalism, your competence, that's the abilities as they match what is required of your role. If you do not have a skill set that is required of your role, hopefully that's something you are a fast learner at, and you will take initiative to seek out. Conscientiousness, showcasing that you are reliable, and that you have high standards for the work that you're putting out. Things as simple as attention to detail, grammar in emails, addressing someone appropriately in emails, just making sure you're putting the highest standards in the work that you're putting forth. Emotional intelligence, making sure to stay professional and keeping your emotions in control, as well as being aware of other people's feelings, especially if you're in a meeting or with a client. Just making sure that you're keeping that in check. Putting your knowledge into action. That is what an internship is, using the knowledge that you're learning through your schooling and applying it in the real world. So make sure that if you're learning something and it might not, again, you might not be able to showcase it in your internship on your current project, but you hear out of the periphery that you might be able to add something to a different project, take the initiative, talk to your supervisor about it. And then appropriateness, being aware of what is appropriate depending on the situation, ranging from dress code to proper manners. Talk to your supervisor, that's what they're there for. Ask questions. You know, we have interns and fellows in the office. We're asking them to do site visits and things like that. You know, they'll come to me and say, what should I wear to this? That is a totally appropriate question to ask, instead of being caught off guard and not dressing appropriately or doing the right things for the situation at hand. Remote professionalism, so understanding that a lot of your roles are remote and or hybrid, and some things to just display professionalism through your internship would be being punctual for your virtual meetings or your events. Dress codes, I know we're all half the time when we're remote and don't have meetings in a hoodie, but if you know you're meeting with clients and or people within your organization, the executives, the leaders, and it's not already established that you're able to wear that, make sure you dress the part. Keeping proper virtual communications with employers. For instance, here at Oshi, we use Teams a lot. So just making sure you're always accessible on that platform that you're supposed to be on in communication with your supervisor and your team. Creating a dedicated workspace and staying organized, thinking about if you have a project that you really need to focus on, should you be hanging out in the student union and doing it, or should you be back in the library? Avoiding distractions that can interrupt your work. Again, same example. So just some things to think about when you're working hybrid or remote.
Now we have teamwork. Teamwork is the ability to efficiently work with others towards a specific task or goal to successfully achieve it. It is very important that you maintain group cohesiveness, but not convert it to normative conformity. And normative conformity basically is you agreeing or following the opinion of the majority of the group, or just really trying to fit in when that's not really who you are, and you're just doing it to feel like you belong there, and that you want to fit in some way or another. You don't really want to get to that. You really want to make sure that everyone in the group is on the same page without necessarily not being true to yourself. So that's very important. So it's also a valuable skill needed, since the shared commitment and the different perspectives provided by every member of the group can really help in communicating openly and being a better respondent to constructive feedback. So it's very important that when you're on let's say in this internship, you have to work with other people or your fellow interns, or when you have a full-time job where you're most likely are gonna have in one way or another a bunch of group projects, or at least even if it's one, it's very important that you gain experience in working with other people, because again, everyone's different, and then you need to have different approaches for everyone so that everyone can work efficiently and really complete a task um, in a more efficient manner. And again, you must learn to work within a group as you will most likely be exposed to them throughout your entire career. So benefits of teamwork. I know a lot of people might not be a fan of working with others, especially I know through university, there might be some really lazy people in group projects where you're like, I can do it. I could just basically do this on my own. But that can really be a good experience when you transition yourself from a student to a full-time job. Because again, you'll most likely have to work with people, whether you like it or not. So some benefits of teamwork are productivity boost and developing strong conflict management skills. We have to deal with a whole lot of different people that will really help you in learning how to act with others, how to present yourself to others, how to communicate with others, and especially in situations where the challenges may arise and you really need to focus not on the problem, but on fixing the problem. Um, and again, productivity boost when everyone's motivated to complete their task, that will make everyone more productive in doing so. Also, again, motivating others. You can motivate others, but you can also be motivated by others to achieve your common goal, again, to completing your task. Even when there might be problems or issues, you're able to work through them because you motivated one another, you're able to communicate with one another. And so that's very important in teamwork, to make sure that you don't want to complete a task just to complete it. You want to be able to complete the task, but also maintaining a good relationship with every member of the group. So another benefit is meaningful team development and creating networking bonds. When you work on a team and you have group projects, it's not only about completing what needs to get done, but it's also a good opportunity for you to connect with others, to enhance your networking circle. And again, in the future, if you leave a job or someone else leaves their job, it could be a good referral for you. In the case that you would like to apply to a company that they're working for, they would like to apply to a company that you're working for. So it's really important for you to maintain your networking circle, and if possible, to expand it as you go through your career. And another benefit is setting new team goals and striving together to reach more success. So once you work in a group project and you feel that everyone really is able to complement one another, that is a good way for you to keep working on the same group or keep adding new people where you're able to really manage any group project that comes your way. You're able to motivate each other to strive for reaching more success together. And so that's really important. Next, please. Okay, characteristics of good teamwork. So in regards to the leadership style, when you manage a positive leadership style within the group, which includes fair decision making, open and effective communication again, and active listening, that really makes every member of the group not only feel like they belong in the group, in the team, but that also makes them be more satisfied or feel more connected with every member of the group, which again makes completing your job or your tasks easier and better. So constructive feedback and changes in position are welcome. So what I mean by changes in position is that you might have an initial idea, but as you work with others and you communicate with others, you might feel like, oh no, I think this might be better. So you change your position, not because you feel like you have to, but because you really have reason and good judgment to do so. So that's very important. And again, constructive feedback, we need to understand that we're not perfect. There might be some things that we need to change, some things that we need to improve. So it's important that we take constructive feedback for the sake of our job, of our role, and not take it as someone trying to say it in a negative way or that they have something against you. So really make sure that you comprehend when someone's trying to provide you with constructive feedback, when someone is trying to just say negative comments to you because they don't know how to communicate. And so, again, members of the group feel they belong and feel confident to voice their opinions and ideas. It's also very important to provide support, even if someone makes a mistake, and not make them feel like they're left out or that uh, they're wrong and that they did something terrible. It's really important that everyone in the group supports members that might make a mistake, because everyone makes mistakes and you never know when it might be your turn. So it's very important to provide support to others, even if a mistake is made, and not make them feel like their whole world is crashing down. And being patient and working together to make sure that everyone's on the same page. It's very important in a group that everyone reaches a common consensus or common ground, so that everyone knows where they're standing, what they have to do, and you can get everything done correctly.
So again, being cognizant, I know it's 3 o'clock, but I promise we're going to be done shortly. Technology is another one of those competencies, understanding and strengthening your knowledge in technologies and platforms to enhance these efficiencies and achieve the goals of your organization. Some technologies you know through your schoolwork, others you're going to learn on the job training. Seek out opportunities to learn more, to play with a platform, to be in a test environment so that you get to know it more thoroughly. Implementing technology to help you increase your productivity and improving time management, prioritizing your tasks. If you have access to these platforms like we do here at OSHI, we use Microsoft everything. So are we using Planner? Are we creating tasks? Are we using Teams? Are we using all the tools accessible to us to help us do a better job and help us meet the mission of the organization? Hard skills are important and valuable resource in your role and on your resume, but it depends on your industry, right? So a lot of hard skills you will learn on the job, except for things that are required of a position. Somebody needs you to have really high proficiency in Excel and you apply to a position, you should really have high proficiency in Excel to succeed at that job. Others that don't require that high efficiency, you can learn on the job. So it's just really being cognizant of those hard technological skills that you might have and would like to acquire to progress your career. Technology in the workplace makes you more competitive. It enhances productivity and efficiency. Also, lots of discussion about safety and security, and the way that you're managing data or client information or customer information over the cloud, over the internet. It's just really important to follow your organization's rules on that. So we're protecting data and being safe and secure. Technology helps us to be more collaborative. You see it when you use it in a Google Classroom or through Microsoft when you're collaborating on a final paper, a final project, a final PowerPoint, that you can do these things in real time, not like back in the day when I went to school. And technology also allows us for convenience and comfort, especially for those of us in this new world of work that allows people to work remotely or in a hybrid environment. So we have a poll for you really quickly. Have you learned any new skills thus far in your internship? So if you just take a minute and tell me what skills you may have learned. We have about 50% participation, so I'm gonna just see what we have. We have programming fundamentals, best practices, communication skills I'm seeing numerous times, professional communication. We have some really specific hard skills, cell culture practices, cell analysis, antiseptic technique, DNA isolation. You can see your fellow interns are doing really cool things. Public speaking, Power BI, advanced Excel, Salesforce, communication, networking. Inventory management, constructive feedback, more effective communication with children, prioritization, project management, Python. These are awesome. So I'm so happy that you're learning these skills through your internship. And this is amazing stuff to put on your resume for future opportunities. I have one more poll and then we're going to wrap up. So, what are the top 3 skills employers look for in 2024?
Communication is winning the race so far.
So, communication by far won with 89%. Then it looks like we have critical thinking and professionalism tied, second and third. Here are the top skills rated by employers for 2024. This is research done by NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And the only one you missed was teamwork in the top 3, right? So I forget where exactly that fell on the list. Communication, I can tell you, has been in the top 5 since I became a professional many moons ago. Teamwork coming in second, and then critical thinking coming in third, but you have professionalism as the third one, and that was really up there as well. Just thinking in terms of these skills, what you're learning, how you're using them in your internship, and then again, how you can build some of these skill sets. Utilize the resources like LinkedIn Learning to help you build some other skills that you might feel like you need work on or have been given some feedback about, and taking it with you, right? So, and that, I appreciate your attentiveness and your participation in the polls. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and open it up for